So I just want to first start with a bit of an overview of all of the events that we are tracking in Google Analytics 4. So basically the work that we have done through the beginning of the year was to get the old version of the events that we had in Universal Analytics from the previous work we did to track the engagement in open social sites and kind of like suggest a new structure for them in Google Analytics 4. This is a file that we were using to also debug this implementation in the NROs that we worked with. But this template is just an overview of everything that we are tracking. So first, we are tracking a lot of page information. So we would be able to see the title of the pages. For the events, we are able to see the location of the events. What else? We are also able to see the visitor type that is logged in or not in the platform. So you can see if you have a lot of access from people not logged in, anonymous, or what is exactly their permissions inside Open Social in case they are logged in. And also like some information about the type of the pages. Is this a group? Is this an event? Is this a post? Or exactly the type of content that the users are looking at? So all of these we can get from the page information. And then we have a series of events as well. So we're able, for example, to identify if the users are giving consent on the Open Social cookies bar. We're able to identify how many times they are logging in or logging out. We're also able to see signups. So either like the first signup that the user does or when they are kind of like the verified signup after they receive an email. And then you have these series of content engagement actions, which are like joining a group, enrolling to an event, following a content, commenting. You also have likes, you also have shares. So basically all of these are tracked into the platform. And then we have also content creation. So whenever a user is creating an event, creating a group, a page, post, topic, or discussion, depending on what you have available inside your Open Social instance, we're also able to track that in Google Analytics 4. Other than that, we also have file downloads in case you have like a PDF attached to an event or some other specific type of files. And we also have the search as well. I guess one thing important to say is that the analytics data will always be a bit sampled. One, because we don't have access to the data generated by users that don't give consent. And secondly, because there are certain other blockers to analytics, like, for example, if your volunteers are using ad blockers, that may affect the tracking. So there is some threshold that we are not able to analyze, but it still gives you a very good overview of what are your volunteers and your supporters doing inside the platform. All right, and that leaves us to the Open Social dashboard. This first version is a exact copy of the old version that we had, but now it's linked to Google Analytics 4. So I wanted to show a bit what is the information that we see here so that we can also get your feedback and improve that as we go. So for example, if you think there's too much information, maybe you're just interested in a few specific metrics, you can also let us know so we can keep iterating. So basically here at the top, we're going to have an NRO dropdown. These are all of the sites that we are currently tracking in the global account. So you're going to see the consolidated data at first, but you can, of course, like just come in here and select like just Brazil if you just want to see your NRO data. But let's look at everybody at this point. You also have the date drop down. I think I shared with you, Luca. We can share with everybody later what is exactly the date that each NRO started to be tracked, because we did the implementation in different phases. So for example, we have Brazil data since January, but I think for other NROs we may just have at the beginning of August. And so here at the top, you have an overview. I think I can do a bit this. We have an overview of how many views you are having, how many sessions, and how many users. So views, for example, a user can, if you refresh the page, it's going to count as another view, but you're still in the same session. The sessions are counted as long as you stay active in the platform. After 30 minutes, it refreshes to a new session after 30 minutes of inactivity. What else? And the users, of course. Users, it's important to mention that we are not able to track users. I need to check how this is set up in analytics, but I think at the moment we are just tracking devices. So for example, if I am on my browser, I have a specific device ID, but if I am in my mobile phone, I have another one. That is something that we can change in implementation, but if I remember correctly, at this point, we are tracking devices as users and not exactly the same person. Google has an ability of identifying if you are logged in. So for example, if I would log in here in my browser, I'm logged in with my account of Google, and in my cell phone, I am logged in, they would be able to match. But that depends a bit on some other configurations we have at these global accounts. So at the moment, the total users could have a bit of an inflated number because of that, because we're looking at the devices mostly. When we look at the logins, these are the users that are currently like in this time frame. So let's say in the last 30 days, how many people logged in. So this could identify like, okay, how many active people we actually have, how many new signups, and the sign-up completion rate. So from everybody, how many of them are completing the signups. We also have the channel sources. So direct means that people are accessing Greenwire, greenpeace.greenwire.org directly. We don't know where they came from, or we lost that information. And the other cases are like email, the person probably received an email with a link and then entered the platform, or organic search, which is quite interesting because people might be finding your Open Social website through organic search, which might be a nice way to also promote and reach out to more volunteers and supporters. So interesting to see like, okay, what are people searching for here? You also have devices information. So we can see here that it's very split between mobile and desktop. And we also see where most of the users are located by country. I think Germany has the most active website. That's why you have the darker color here. It gets a bit confusing to see the timeline for all of the rows at the same time. So you may want to just use the filter here to analyze one, but it does gives you a timeline of visitors. Interesting to see that most visitors at this point are accessing the pages without being logged in, which is curious. I also have this impression. Look up, maybe we can also later like dive deeper and try to understand why. Maybe that's also related to organic search, for example, like pages that are available in Google. You also have the type of visitors. So anonymous, authenticated, content manager, not sets, site manager, admins. So you have a few variations here. And where are the new signups coming from, and also what are the top engagement events in the platform? What are people doing mostly? And I think I also like a lot the other tab, which is related to content, because just allows us to see a bit of like, okay, what is exactly the content that is popping up? So let me filter just to Germany. That might be a bit easier. So what are the users mostly creating? You see that they are creating a lot of events and a lot of posts. You can also see what are the top search terms, what are people searching in the platform, and that might be helpful for you to understand like what kind of content is your volunteer searching for. You can also see the top pages that are trending, top groups. So you have like welcome. So some of these are not exactly groups, so I might need to filter this out here. But these would like top pages and top shared contents. So like what is the type of event or group that people or posts that people are sharing? So you have the number of views and the number of shares and also the conversion rate. So yeah, I just spotted a few fixes that I need to do here, but also I guess the idea of this video is also showing you what we have and just understanding from you like what is mostly resonating with you, what else would you like, what do you want to like amplify, do you want to dive deeper in specific sections. I guess just sharing a bit of like the dashboard is supposed to be like a place where you have the first overview and you spot things and identify issues, and then you can later go into deeper analysis, either directly at analytics or in a report. Like you can go into too much deeper in here because you need to do sometimes more exploration, but it is a first space for you to identify like, hey, like look how interesting it is that people are not signing in, why? And then you go into the data and start to analyze that with a bit more depth.
On the spot also, but how it works is that I put a snapshot of the two sections of the dashboard. One is related to the audience, and one is related to the content. And if you have any feedback, we are proposing to have feedback like this about I am happy about a specific section because whatever, it allows me to filter by my NRO, for instance, so to say. So what you need to do is to drag this next to the section where you're happy, add your name or your NRO, or leave it empty if you want to do it anonymously, and just drop what makes you happy. Same thing for, have you considered this? For instance, your feedback is interesting, Ovusu, about the blurriness when you filter stuff. So what I would like you to do, if possible, is to take this, slash it here, and say, Julia, there we go. So Julia just did it. Anyway, and if you have any questions, or if you want us to keep building on top of this specific report, for instance, I don't know, have you considered to make it link or to expand the view on this? Just drop a blue post-it, and yeah, there we go. That's it. And I'm gonna record what is called the talk track as well. What is it? I know I cannot record the talk track. Maybe one. There we go. So I'm gonna record the talk track essentially to record all this. That will be available for people to give feedback asynchronously. So my idea.